So I appreciate the intro. The journey getting in was not easy. I think I was maybe 11, 10 or 11 when I got my first computer, and
Wow.
it just made sense to me. And I knew this is what I want to do when I grow up. Now, at that time, there wasn't such a thing as like an IT administrator or network architect or not even cloud. Cybersecurity wasn't even a word. So I didn't know what I was in for when I decided I wanted to do this thing. When I was about 16, I decided to try to get a job. And of course, I started in fast food like most people do. Eventually, I wound up at Texas A&M at the veterinary clinic, and one of the jobs they had me do was data entry. And it turns out I was really good at it. My boss would take several months to enter data, and a lot of it was repetitive. Because of my self-learned experience with computers, I knew about the secret hotkey combo of Control C and Control V. And so when I started showing him these things, he's like, "That's too much for me, but do you mind doing this entry?" So it took me about 2 weeks to do the data entry, and I became his computer guy from that moment on, which was great. And I'm like, "Great, maybe I can get a job here in computers." In that section, there wasn't such a role. I was just selling stuff for large animals. But I talked to my boss about it, and he said, "Let me introduce you to some of the guys that work in the computer department here on campus." And he introduced me, and it was the first time I got to interact with what has become the hallmark of most desktop administrators. The old crabby guy with the big glasses and who thinks he's smarter than you or doesn't want to acknowledge that you know anything. He just assumes you're dumb.
Right.
So if you've ever run into that type of guy, that was my first experience with some people that were supposed to be like these really smart computer people, but they didn't even know the basics of copy and paste because we talked about it. So they were just not willing to hear me out. It felt like they were resistant to let me in, and I felt so frustrated because I really wanted to get into this job market. I said, okay, maybe not here, but I'm going to start looking around. My dad helped me find one of his customers who worked a lot with computers. And he's like, hey, what if you guys like take a look at my son? Maybe you can bring him on as an intern. So they brought me in. I remember typing in my resume with like my fast food experience and my vet job selling dog food basically. And I 16 years old, right?
Wow.
So I gave them my resume and they're like, "Oh, that's cute. Yeah, you got a job. You're hired." So I was so excited. And I was like, "When do I got to be here?" They're like, "Monday at 12 p.m." So I showed up Monday. It was during the summer, so no school. So I showed up on Monday. I go into work and they said, "Okay, here are where the trash receptacles are. Here are the cleaning supplies. Keep the windows clean. Take out the trash. Make sure to wash the dishes that are left in the break room. Change these light bulbs." And I was completely like disillusioned about what the job was supposed to be. I thought it was going to have to do with computers. That's what we talked about.
Wow.
But they were like, we need somebody to do these things around the office. You can be one of those guys. And so I was so frustrated. So I quit that job in like after 2 weeks. Thinking back about it now, maybe it could have been a way to start networking with people and leverage myself into one of those roles. But I didn't have that mindset at 16. So I
Right.
gave up, moved on. So eventually, how did I finally break in? After the next few years of trying to find places with computers, which is a really like new career field and nobody really knew what to expect from it, I couldn't
Right.
find anything. And so eventually, a recruiter approached me to join the Marine Corps, and we talked about computers. He's like, "We got a job field. You just have to score high enough on your ASVAB, and if you do, we'll get you in." And that's what happened. So my entry into this field was through the military, where I finally got some movement. But it was a few years of me trying at such a young age to find a place